Hey, My League fans. This video, we're going to talk about some fun My League ideas. I've tried to take some of the best ideas and put them into one video, so when you're trying to figure out what your next project should be in My League, you'll have a resource to come check and look up some ideas. And if you're new to the channel, I am Coach 2K. While you're here, click that subscribe button. Click the bell to get notified whenever I upload anything new so you don't miss a single NBA 2K episode I put out, or any of my series, my fictional My League, or my League, my career. And while you're here, take some time to comment. Let me know how you play My League down in the comments so other people who are looking at this video can get some additional ideas in addition to what I say. Alright, so let's get started and talk about some ways you can play My League, some different ideas you can use. Option number one is to play My League as your favorite team. So as an example, I'm a big Pacers fan, so if I'm going to play My League, the first thing I think about doing is playing with the Pacers and getting them an NBA championship. As you can tell by the screen here, if you didn't already know, the Pacers do not have an NBA championship in their NBA history. They got some ABA titles, but let's get serious. Nobody really counts those in the NBA. And so if you're going to look at the My League, you can always use your favorite team, whether that's the Pacers, the Lakers, the Celtics, wherever you might be, your hometown team. Start a My League with that. The next fun My League idea would be just to start today from wherever you are in the season and begin playing from that point forward. And actually, as I'm doing this video, this is a great time to do a start today file, and that's because we've just concluded the NBA Finals. And if you want to do a start today, you're going to immediately move into the off season and you can start planning for next year. And so that's my fun My League item number two, which is to just start a My League from today's date. All right, the next fun My League idea is to do a My League rebuild. So that would be where you would take a team and build it into a champion. It could be your favorite team, like in my case, we mentioned earlier, the Indiana Pacers. It could also be a team that's been performing horribly, and those make the most sense of teams to rebuild. Like the Knicks would be a good example, the Cavs, the Bulls, teams like the Hawks, especially the Hawks. They got a lot of draft picks going into next year, as the time I'm writing this video. The Mavs, building around Doncic. You've got the Timberwolves who struggled this year. Teams like the Suns make excellent candidates because, they're just never really that good. I mean, they were good during the Nash years, but it's been a while. So anyway, that's the next fun My League idea, is just to do a rebuild of a team that needs rebuilding. Another excellent My League idea is to use a custom roster in your My League file. One of my favorite things to use is a custom roster, and there's all kinds of custom rosters out there. You can find custom rosters within the game, or you can go to a website like Operation Sports, where a lot of the people that customize rosters hang out and talk to each other and kind of promote their rosters. Some ideas for custom rosters would be just current NBA teams where the rosters have been cleaned up in some way, either to make them more My League ready. The tendencies have been edited, like Van Wolfhawk did last year, or they've been, just entirely revamped, like the SimWorld roster, which is on the Xbox. You could also do things like historic teams. Like, let's say I wanted to play as the 1994 Indiana Pacers. You can see here on the screen there's a 2011-2012 official roster. So maybe I could play with a team from that particular year. So a historic roster is another idea. Another custom roster idea would be for teams, the all-time teams. And so, the all-time teams in the game, a lot of them don't have all the players. Some people have gone in and taken the time to make sure all the players are on all the time. All the players are on the all-time team, so you can put them in your My League. You could also use like non-NBA rosters. I've seen high school rosters, college rosters, ABA rosters, international rosters, Olympic rosters, fictional rosters, which is one of my favorites. And fictional rosters could include created players that are just totally made up, actually people that you know. They could be celebrities. If you don't see the roster that you like, you could make your own roster. And so people spend hours creating rosters, and you could edit your roster to your heart's content based on whatever concept you can come up with. So custom roster is one of the most fun ideas inside of a MyLeague file, and something you should take a look at if you want to really liven up your league. Another fantastic MyLeague idea is to use custom draft classes within your league. Maybe you start with the official roster and then the off season. Well, you got to have players that you can draft. So just like there's custom rosters, people make custom draft classes, and some people spend a lot of time on these custom draft classes, and there's some pretty cool ones out there every year. One of the probably the most popular ones every year is the realistic draft class, where everybody has put time into a draft class that you can use. They'll have the players that will be drafted in the upcoming draft in real life, and you can get those guys in your MyLeague, and they got custom, they've made them really nice with the actual faces, and they play the way they're supposed to. So realistic draft classes are pretty fun. Historic draft classes, where you bring in players from past seasons, that's a great idea for a custom draft class. Fictional draft classes, like this is a fictional draft class that I'm looking at here, where you don't know anything about the players. And so in addition to custom rosters, another way that's fantastic for kind of livening up your MyLeague is to use fictional draft classes in the off season, and during the season you can kind of scout these players and find out all about them. All right, another good MyLeague idea is to try and build theme teams with whatever team you're controlling. So a good example of a theme team is an all defensive team, which, for example, the Bad Boys in Detroit were back in 88-89. You'd want to find players in your current MyLeague that are great defensive players, and so the theme of your team would be an all defensive team. Other ideas for theme teams could be like a hometown team that has players just from the state that the NBA team is from. Transition teams. There's the ideas for theme teams are really kind of unlimited. You can come up with a team of all Big Ten players, everybody drafted in the first round, teams with low overalls, trying to build them into a championship. A team of only 70 rated players is an example of the overall rating. And so those are some ideas. So coming up when you're running your team, instead of just trying to get the next, finding the superstar and bringing him to your team, is to try and figure out how to build a team that matches a certain theme to provide a little variety in the types of teams that you end up building. Another great MyLeague option is to do a fantasy draft for whatever roster you might be using, the official roster or some sort of custom roster. And then instead of the teams being the players being on the teams that they are initially set on in the roster, these players would all end up on new teams and kind of change the whole dynamic of your MyLeague across each of the teams in the league. Another way to play MyLeague that could be a lot of fun is, instead of just controlling one team like the 76ers, maybe you control all 30 teams, and you'd make all the decisions across the league for all the teams. There are people that do love 30 team control, and it can really provide you a lot of opportunity to spend a lot of time in your MyLeague. I'm not necessarily a 30 team control guy myself, except to go in and fine tune some things that I might be working on for each team, but usually I like to let the CPU control the other teams. But if you didn't want to do 30 team control, you could even do just like 2 team control, like a team in the East and a team in the West, and you could play their games and then let them sim when they match up. You could do a team, control a team in each division. But instead of just controlling one team, you could control all the teams in the league in some fashion, or a certain number of them, to provide you a little more variety in what's going on in your MyLeague. Another really cool My League idea is to do a My Career within your My League. This is one of my favorite options outside the fictional league, which I'm doing on my channel. I'm also doing a My League with a My Career. You could put yourself in the game. You could use a current player. In my case, I used a player that was in a fictional draft class, and when he was drafted to the Pacers, and that's who I used, and that's who I put on player lock within the position settings in the file. And now every game that's played, I only use him, and I'm going to see how his career progresses while he's in the league. And it's really one of the coolest things you can do in My League, I think, is run a My Career within it. Another very popular My League idea is to use an expansion team within the My League. So a lot of people, I think, love the expansion teams because you have to go through the expansion draft, and then you got to draft players, and essentially you're starting your franchise with a clean slate. You can use one of the pre-built teams that are in the league that they put in here that are all pretty nice, or you can just customize your own expansion team from scratch. I know a lot of people also like to do like the Seattle Supersonics since they lost their team. You can do things like that as well, and that's pretty creative. So anyway, that idea is an expansion team within your My League. Usually it's a good idea to build evenly. So if you do put an expansion team in, put one in on the east and one in at the west at the very least. That way you can build the league evenly. You don't have one division larger than the other. But it's a great idea and something you might want to do within your own My League. The next idea for a My League is to do a My GM within your My League. And in this case, you wouldn't play any of the games. You would just solely act as the GM. So you'd let the coach handle their coaching, you'd let the scouts handle their scouting, but you'd be involved in the roster activities, the contract extensions, and ultimately you just want to see if the decisions and the moves you make work well with the staff you've got in place, and if the team can win based on you only acting as the GM. Now in this particular case, you might want to abide by a set of house rules that you follow that determine whether you win or not. I've done a house rules video. I'll put a link in the corner of the video for that. And along with, as far as house rules go, you might want to use those in any particular My League file you do anyway, just to kind of guide how you make decisions in the My League. But that's a great idea too, where you just act solely as the GM, and that's your only role in the My League file. The next My League idea is to run a My GM instead of doing a My League file. Most of these ideas that we talked about, a lot of them can be incorporated into a My GM, and with that you'll get some sort of story mode that goes with it. So usually in the My League, NBA 2K puts a more involved story mode, and then they have the traditional GM. The traditional GM will give you a lot more flexibility, including things like using a custom roster along with the story elements. But you can use a lot of the things that are good ideas for My League and also use those in a My GM file. And if you don't know what the difference between the My GM and the My League is, I'll put a link in the corner to a video that I did on that, so you know what the difference is between those two types of files. Another great way to play My League is to get some of your friends and play a My League online. If you can get enough users together, you can do a lot of the ideas that we talked about in the My League offline files online, and including using a custom roster. In fact, when I play friends, a lot of times I don't use the Play with Friends feature. I use a My League online to set everything up the way that I want to do it. My custom roster, if I want to have playoff atmosphere, which is what I'm doing in this particular file. And so there's a lot of flexibility in the My League online to do a lot of things you can do offline. It's not fully there yet, but it can be a ton of fun. And for years I've been playing people online, and ever since they've had the My League online files, that's what I've been doing. And it's just been getting better as time goes on, even though it's not quite there yet. But one of my favorite things to do is to play My League online in a playoff atmosphere against people I know, and that's a ton of fun. So you might want to try that as one of your My League ideas as well. Okay, that's some of the best of the My League ideas that I've got or that I've encountered that can make your My League a lot of fun and more interesting to kind of liven up the experience for you. My League is one of the best modes that you can play, in my opinion, and I enjoy playing My League. So I'm interested to hear what you've got to say. Let me know down in the comments what kind of My League you're running and what kind of suggestions you'd have for the people that are watching this video, so that we can kind of create a place where people can kind of share their best My League ideas. All right, I am Coach 2K. I'll see you on the court in my next video. Appreciate you watching, and talk to you soon.